Welcome in. It is PBNJ episode 2. I'm Jeff Parles. He's Jon Jansen. Happy to be with you as always. JJ, how was your 4th of July?
How was my 4th of July? I spent it in the lovely Greenville, North Carolina, where the Pirates of East Carolina play. So I had a good one, Jeff. Fireworks, beverages, hot dogs, plenty of hot dogs. So not bad.
Plenty of hot dogs? That's always a
plenty of
good
hot
sign.
dogs.
Always a good sign for that, John. And,
Not as many as Joey Chestnut. I would say about like 68 less, 68, 69 less than Joey Chestnut, but still, hot dogs were consumed.
So can we just say something real quick?
You can say whatever
on the Joey Chestnut end of things.
Yeah.
Can we just appreciate for a second how good these bookmakers are, John?
Yeah, I saw the number moved a bunch to it. It landed right in the middle. Right.
The guy, first off, is middled it. Second off, the guys at Circa opened at 70.5. What did Joey Chestnut eat? 70.5 hot dogs. Technically got to 71. I mean, that's just sick.
It's sick. Well, all of it's sick. Everything about it is sick and American and beautiful and all of the above. But the number, the number landing and where it did open and then closed with and all of it was just absolutely wild.
Insane. So
that means it was being correctly. I would imagine most of the time, but obviously it middles out once you get to a certain number. But initially, it seemed like it moved in the right direction.
John, it's super difficult. I mean, look, Chestnut didn't participate last year because of contractual obligations, if you remember.
Yeah, was it because of vegan hot dogs, something like that?
It was all stupid. Remember he did the heads up thing with Kobayashi on
Netflix?
And it was a huge bust because Kobayashi is basically as washed up as you and I are at this point, John. So I mean, it was pretty rough, all things considered.
Washed up.
He's washed up. He's washed up, but
that's a way of putting it, I guess.
Oh,
sure.
What else am I supposed to say?
He's no washed up hot dog eater. I mean,
he's no Badlands Booker who is now the chugging champion of planet Earth.
The thing is, we know the science behind athletes losing their athleticism. They lose their speed. They lose power as they go older. All those things. What do you lose as a gifted food eater? What do you lose? Your stomach just shrinks or something? What happens?
It's probably the ability to expand the stomach. It is also the ability to chomp down the jaw muscles, are broken down over time.
What's the science behind a food professional food eater losing a step? What's the science?
I will tell you. Look, and sports science, John Brinkus, rest in peace. He did a special on Chestnut.
Did he really?
Back in the day, yeah. So check that out on YouTube. I know it's out there, John. So there you go. If you want that. By the way, not how I expected to start our show today, but that's how we started our show today. So, PBNJ. By the way, if you're joining us for the first time, I'm Jeff Parles. He's Jon Jansen, or better known.
Would you put either peanut butter or jelly on a hot dog?
No, if you had to. No. Shut the hell up, dude.
If you had to.
No. Maybe only. Oh well, you know what? I'm going to show my age here. You remember the episode of SpongeBob where they made the Krabby Patties with the jellyfish jelly on it, John?
Yeah.
Maybe that's the way to do it. But no, that sounds gross. Even though.
Actually, you know what? Just do both. Make it a peanut butter and jelly hot dog.
John, as someone who went to Seattle this last few months, and went to Seattle, I don't know if I told you this, and guys, we promise we're going to talk actual sports in a moment. We're going to talk some baseball, even though we're going to get Jansen's thoughts on ice cream cones later in the show. That's
all
a tease.
about food. This is a food. But
John, I had a Seattle hot dog. When I was up in the Pacific Northwest.
I don't know a Seattle hot. I know it's Chicago dog.
So, do you want me to tell you what's on it?
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So, it's grilled onions, grilled cabbage. Okay. It was good. Grilled peppers as well.
Cabbage.
Here's where this gets weird. Toasted bun's not weird. Cream cheese is very much weird. And I'm going to tell you, dude. I'm going to tell you, dude, it worked. It worked.
Is that weird? I don't think that's weird.
It worked. It was delicious.
Yeah, of course it worked.
One of my friends was so horrified he almost vomited. The stand that I went to, they brought out, look, you're from Philly. They'll bring out the blocks of cheese. They'll bring out the cheese whiz uh, for the steaks. Even though, of course, the only correct way, John, as you know, to order a cheesesteak is with whiz, as you know. But look,
It's changed now, Parles. I was
changed
a
now.
Whiz Wit guy. Yeah, Cooper Sharp is the
Okay, that's fair. I
official
can't really argue on
cheese
that.
of a cheesesteak.
Can't really argue on that.
Yeah, it's
But
very good. It's good.
they brought out a hunk of this like cream cheese to cut the tray.
Incredible. So here's what I'm
It's
starting to
incredible
learn.
content.
Here's what I'm starting to learn. And I like the place that I went to in Greenville, Sup Dogs, won like best college bar in Barstool like 3-4 years. So a hot dog is a good vessel for anything. We always like say you can only put ketchup or mustard or nothing on a hot dog or relish or whatever. There are no rules. It is a vessel to put anything you want on that hot dog. The only thing about hot dogs, the only taste it has is it's salty as hell. That's it. If you work with that, then you got something. Like that's all it is. So I think it's a good neutral like sandwich vessel. Sandwich is a controversial thing to call a hot dog, but like you can put anything on it. You can put whatever the hell you want on it, as long as it somewhat works with the saltiness of the hot dog, and you can do anything you want. It's a very neutral flavor.
I guess you're technically right, except we won't try jelly on. All right, we have wasted 7 minutes.
Put whatever you want.
We've John, we've wasted 7 minutes on hot dogs. Somehow, some way, we've done it. That's all. That's the show, folks. We'll see you again next time. No.
The hot dog days of summer, Jeff Parles.
The hot dog days of summer. All right, John. Let's talk some baseball. Baseball. I want to start with the American League Cy Young Award, or excuse me, the National League Cy Young Award. We'll get to the AL Cy Young race, which is pretty much over in a moment, but there's some interesting ways to look at it now. Your boy, Zach Wheeler, Jon Jansen, has thrown his two best outings of the year back to back. 8 absolutely sparkling innings 2 starts ago, and then 9 innings. The only hit he allowed was a home run against the Reds over the 4th of July weekend. Absolutely outstanding. His odds have now crashed all the way down to even money. They were about plus 380 before 2 starts ago. Now we're at even money, John. Skeens has crashed all the way back down to minus 115 at DraftKings. If you're new to betting and watching us, minus 115 means if you wager $115 and Skeens were to win the Cy Young, you would win $100. So you'd get your 115 back plus 100. That's $215 if you're new to betting. John, I've said it for a few weeks now. I think Zach Wheeler should have been favored to be the Cy Young now for a month. And especially after these last 2 starts where he was virtually unhittable the last 2 times out. And John, being on look, I understand it may not be fair. We've seen guys on bad teams win these major awards in the past. The stress of the games that Zach Wheeler is going to throw the rest of the season as opposed to Paul Skeens, it's night and day, John. This is Wheeler's award to me, JJ. I don't even think it's particularly close, honestly.
I mean, it is close because you can't argue the raw numbers of Paul Skeens and say that Zach Wheeler has been like that much better or better in a way. It's just that, yeah, he's pitching in games that are meaningful. He's pitching in a division race that's very meaningful, especially in the National League. He's on, one of the top teams in baseball, and these games are huge. So there's a lot more attention on it. When he goes 9 innings a complete game, that's a big deal for the Phillies. Like, it's a huge win for them, and it gets more attention than, Paul Skeens gets all the attention because of just his name. But a lot of it is what is attached to him is, man, he's doing great on a team that really sucks. And that's really where the conversation ends. So there is more, there's just more of a conversation that you want to be had about Zach Wheeler. So I get it. So I would probably go Zach Wheeler right now just because of the last couple of games. And it seems like he's trending like in a direction that seems like he should be the Cy Young winner. But Paul Skeens has been, if not the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, it's between him and Tariq Skubal. It's just that Zach Wheeler is in that conversation. Just everything else surrounding it leads to Zach Wheeler probably taking it at the moment.
Look, I may be a little old school here. It's got to mean something that you're playing in important games down the stretch.
But it's old school for voters now. I think that win-loss record has gone to the wayside. We've seen
that. Phil Hernandez, Jacob DeGrom have changed that forever.
Right.
But look, Skeens going to win this award, win a Cy Young award, whether he's a Pirate, a Met, a Yankee, a Dodger, wherever the hell he ends up in the next contract, John. But in the end here, this is Wheeler's award. to me to lose just because, I mean, they've been pretty much equal over the last month now. And look, they don't
Yeah,
score for
yes. I mean, not even equal. I would say Zach Wheeler's
Wheeler's been better.
Yeah,
Wheeler's
Wheeler's been
the
better.
last month.
So that's why it's trending in the direction of the numbers that are getting so much closer. Like once he thins those margins out between like his ERA and his WHIP and everything with Paul Skeens, which he's starting to do, and he's like pretty much there. Then yeah, the conversation switched to, well, Zach Wheeler's also doing it on a team that's winning, and he's doing it in meaningful games, which I think does
absolutely matter. John, Tariq Skubal, you mentioned him. He's been the best pitcher in baseball this year. There's really no argument. He's going to win the AL Cy Young if he ends the season upright. He's Johnny's only still minus 260. So that is a bigger favorite, but that's still surprising when you look at Judge, who's pushing $7. Ohtani in the MVP race, and the NL side is pushing 1 to 12 at this point. But John, on my other show, Sports by the Book, I had Colby Marshall on today, and he was making the case for Tariq Skubal to win the MVP. I know our mutual friend Adam Rosenberg was making this case as well. 95 to 1 right now is the best price on Skubal to win the MVP. Personally, I don't think it's worth the bet, because if Judge gets hurt, the voters are giving it to Cal Raleigh. Like, Cal Raleigh might hit 55 homers as a catcher this year, which would shatter the catcher record for homers. If the Mariners make the playoffs, I think Raleigh would win that award if Judge were to get hurt. Just too many things would have to happen for Skubal in order to get him back in the MVP race, John. Look, it's 95 to 1, maybe $15. Sure, but you can't really bet this seriously and have a real shot to win this unless if two guys in front of you get hurt. And there goes John.
Oh, no. I would have to see, though. Yeah, I would just have to see where the odds go if Aaron Judge were to go down. Because if he doesn't, the only time you can bet this is if Aaron Judge goes down, like, he doesn't play for the rest of the season, and there's still significant enough time left to get over him. But I think once that happens, because I don't think the odds will shift, but you'll still get a good number on either Cal Raleigh or still get a good enough number on Tariq Skubal to want to do it. But I wouldn't do it because it's not a winning bet just because of Aaron Judge. Like, Aaron Judge is just too over-dominantly the best player, best hitter in Major League Baseball. Could make a case for best player if it wasn't for Ohtani now pitching again. It's just that it's so overwhelming what Aaron Judge is doing. Now, Cal Raleigh has a good case, but it's not at the same level as Aaron Judge. It's not so overwhelming of numbers that somebody like Tariq Skubal can't go over them. And if Skubal has like this electric, like last month and a half, whatever it is, like the last 5 starts are electric, then yeah, I could see a scenario where he wins it. But I would probably still just feel comfortable betting a number if Tariq Skubal, if Aaron Judge were to go down, Tariq Skubal would still get a good enough number that I would be enticed by it. But right now, no, it's impossible to do it without knowing if Aaron Judge is playing the rest of the season or not, which most likely he's going to finish the season. And he's going
Hey, look, Judge is winning this award if he ends up upright. He is having that absurd of a year again.
It's Barry Bonds-like. As long as he's doing that, there's nobody beating Aaron Judge. Nobody.
John, this is a different discussion for a different time, but you know what? This time is right now. I'm bringing this up right now.
Yeah, do it, Jeff.
Aaron Judge is going to end up, if he keeps on this pace, and obviously that goes without saying, Aaron Judge is on pace to be a top 5 all-time right-handed hitter in the history of baseball.
Yes.
He's on pace. Now, look, from super modern guys, you got Miggy, you got Albert Pujols. There's really no one else in the last 30 years because you have to have the asterisk next to Sammy Sosa. People don't respect Juan Gonzalez as much as they should. But
Barry Bonds is
right-handed.
Numbers, yeah, I know right-handed. But like not only are we talking just right-handed hitters with him, but Aaron Judge to me would be going into a category like with those kind of greats, with all-time.
We're talking that though. Like we're talking Willie Mays, we're talking Hank Aaron, we're talking we're talking Honus Wagner all the way back in the day. Like we're talking these all-time like. Aaron Judge legitimately is in that conversation at this pace. Now, look, Judge has to make it to 500, maybe even 600 home runs. I expect
he would have to keep this up for still a
sure. He still has to do it for another 5, at least another 6 years at this pace. But You could hit 60 home runs twice.
Yeah. But the fact that
without roids, that's been basically not done other than Babe Ruth when he was playing against guys who would not even sniff single A ball if they got thrown into this era at this point for some of those guys.
An OPS over 1100 for multiple years, like, just doesn't, it's not done anymore. It just doesn't happen. So the fact that he's doing it, and if even he doesn't do that for the next couple of years, just high 900s, low 1000 OPS, like, yeah, we're starting to talk like this guy is one of the greatest hitters of all time. But that's the thing, like, that's what they're trying to compete against. So I couldn't bet anybody outside of Aaron Judge until Aaron Judge if he were to go down. But it's the crazy thing is we should be talking about Judge in like oh my God, we have never seen this before in baseball. But the only reason we're not is that Shohei Ohtani is doing more of the, oh my God, I've never seen this done before in baseball.
Well, and Barry just brought up a good point of, does Judge's body hold up over time because of just how at his size, obviously, because Judge is a giant, which is a legitimate concern, but that could work to his advantage too, right? Like that,
yeah, so it looks different. So Barry Bonds was a different player when he was younger than when he was older.
Oh yeah, like his head size grew 15 sizes.
Yeah, okay, that size. You're right. That size is different. But like, it's not like Barry Bonds could steal bases when he was younger. Barry Bonds could move around like A+ fielder. He's not going to be all that later on in his career. But the bat and the power are mostly going to stay, and he's just going to get, I think, smarter as a hitter as he's going. Because when he first came up, he wasn't even this good of a hitter, and he learned to be.
Well, and that you just brought up a really good point. Like Judge was always like, we always looked at Judge in the past as like up until the 60 plus homer season 2 years ago. We looked at Aaron Judge as, all right, this guy's a big bopper, capable of hitting 50 home runs, but he's never going to hit better than like 265, 270. And Judge is hitting 360 right now. Judge was hitting almost 400 a month ago. Like, it is incredible to see the type of player he's turned into, and especially with having basically no help in that lineup right now also makes it really amazing too. I know Goldschmidt had a really good start to the season. He's cooled off. Bellinger's been hit or miss. The Yankees don't know what the hell to do with Jason Dominguez. He doesn't have Soto anymore. Like last year, it made sense. All right, like Soto's in that lineup. The two of them are going to hit 40 home runs each if Soto had re-signed. But boy, you bring up Bonds, like even before steroids, Barry Bonds was on his way to being the best player in the history of baseball. He didn't need the roids in order to
I get he did. That's a part, I guess, of his legacy, but it doesn't take away the fact that he is still the most feared, greatest hitter I think I've seen.
John, for our age, which is early 30s, there's no argument. There is no argument. Even Pujols, as great as Albert was in St. Louis, who was every bit as good as any right-handed hitter ever in the first 8 to 9 years of his career, Bonds was always more feared, and he was better. Bonds is
the most feared hitter in
Bonds would have led the league in OBP if you took away all of his hits 4 different years.
Yeah,
like that's how feared he was.
And he was also the best slugging player in Major League Baseball. It's incredible, but it's the fact that we can talk about another player that is similar in a way. He's not Barry Bonds, so like I get that.
The different players,
but similar in a way, and like getting similar numbers, even somewhat close. That I never thought I'd see that, and we haven't really seen that. Especially once we've gotten past the steroid era, once we've gotten past even pitchers, just have gotten better. Like this has felt like a pitcher's era, and hitters are starting to get a little bit better and catching up a bit. But Aaron Judge is the only one that's really become such an outlier to it.
Yeah, no argument for me, John. No argument whatsoever. We're in the last week before the All-Star game. By the way, I'm just going to throw this out there because we don't know the full field yet for the Home Run Derby. James Wood is going to win the Home Run Derby next week in Atlanta.
Okay, I like
just throwing it out there. And they're going to misprice him because Cal Raleigh and Ronald Acuna are probably going to be your betting favorites in the Home Run Derby, assuming that Acuna is able to go. I know Acuna got banged up again yesterday, but James Wood has the perfect swing for that ballpark, which is pretty fair to both sides of the plate. And look, I wish he wasn't in the NL East. I love that guy. He is going to be a superstar for such a long time. Yeah. And they are going to misprice him next week in the betting odds. If you can get somewhere like 7-1, 8-1 on James Wood next week, Wouldn't even hesitate. It will be my biggest baseball bet of the season, period, John. Now, granted,
Derby, I cannot condone that.
Oh, look, I mean,
But
when
John,
Alonso won the first one,
Parles.
that was my biggest bet of the baseball season all year in 2019. And then I promptly lost 15 straight baseball bets after the All-Star break. So that was
here I am trying to make good points about risk reward in like a MVP race, and you're going, my biggest bet of the year is the home run derby. Like, that's
why not, John? Come on now. Come on now.
We're very calculated on this show. Extremely calculated.
Hey, you gotta have some fun when there's nothing going on, right? I can't bet Summer League, man. I can't bet Summer League. Just can't do it. Which, by the way, I don't know if you saw this on Kick Picks. This was floating around social media this morning. The Cooper Flag Bronny James Day, which is tomorrow here in Vegas, is the highest resale ever for the Summer League, where the get-in price is $220. All I'm going to tell you is there are a lot better ways in Las Vegas to spend $220, John. A lot better ways.
There's a lot of easier ways to spend $220.
Oh, that too, but
$220 is like $20 in any other city.
That's still crazy though. $220 though for a Summer League game. What, Flag's going to play 14 minutes probably?
I'm surprised Flag is even playing.
You know what? You got to at least trot him out in the opening.
I get it, but
you got to do that. But that's all. All right. NL East race, John, which, of course, again, Jansen's a Philly guy. I'm a Mets guy. So, by the way, Phillies are leading right now as we talk here on Wednesday afternoon. Jesus Luzardo has found himself again, which is very good news for the Phillies because Luzardo had that little lull over the last few weeks. But, John, this race is now tied. Both teams have had stretches where they looked like the worst team in baseball, non-Rocky White Sox division over the last few weeks. Mets went 3-13 over 16 games. Philly went 1-11 in a 12-game stretch earlier in the summer. John, I think the market has this a little bit mispriced. The Phillies were as high as minus 160 this morning, which feels a little bit crazy to me. I really think that this is a flip division where I think the Mets and the Phillies should both be minus 110, minus 115, whatever stupid juice some of these books want to do. And it's all going to come down to two factors to me, Jon Jansen. How does the New York Met pitching hold up, especially the starting rotation that looks to be getting healthier, with Senga expected back either on Sunday or right after the break, and same deal with Sean Manaea. And for the Phillies, you know that I know it. Can they get some bullpen pieces at the trade deadline? Because Jordan Romano is just, you can't keep trotting him out there in these big spots. Yesterday managed to do something that I almost thought was impossible. Gave up a walk-off 3-run inside the park home run to a catcher.
Incredible. Yeah. I've never seen a worse way to lose a baseball game than
it was pretty amazing if you didn't have Rudy interest.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Luckily, it was a late night game, and I was in bed already. I went to bed. They were up 3-1. So that's how I woke up to that, which is incredible. But yeah, I mean, so I think the Phillies should be priced at shorter odds. They should be the favorite. I don't know if it should be that much. I think you're a little bit right that they're maybe slightly juiced up too much, but they should be the favorite because their starting pitching is overwhelmingly good. So that plays well in a longer season. For the rest of the season, that will make them a better team, or at least a team more suited for that kind of run to win a division. And I think they have it. Starting pitching is no problem. And you can fix sort of the bullpen arm, but I guess the question is how fast can they fix it? And even if they were to get somebody, is that actually enough to fix it? So I think there's like longer term issues in terms of when they get into the playoffs, how bad that bullpen is and how bad sometimes the bottom of the lineup is. Because right now Bryson Stott doesn't look like a player worth playing every day.
No.
He's actually a bad baseball player. Which
at the current moment he is, yeah.
Yeah, at the current moment, but it's been a long enough stretch of bad baseball. He had like a good, I think, month and a half to start the season. Other than that, it's been bad. 2024, he was bad. 2023, he was mostly bad as well. Like he had a couple of good months in his career where he looked like a good baseball player, and that's it. But now he doesn't look good. But the thing is, you need a good bottom of the lineup player. You need good bottom of the lineup players. They have some of that with Brandon Marsh, but need a little bit more. So they need work. But I just think with that starting rotation and the Mets not having that, it's such a big advantage, at least in the regular season. Once you get to the playoffs, yeah, things can like even out a little bit. Because of that, because it's such a short series and lineups do matter and everything matters, bullpen, all of that. But a starting rotation like that is better suited, I think, to make a run at the division. So they should be the favorite, at least in my mind.
Yeah, I'm going to take a plus price on the Mets. Now I'm going to wait because it looks like the Phillies are going to win on Wednesday, so I'll probably get a better price on Thursday morning. With the Phillies having an off day, they'll go to San Diego. Mets do have a schedule advantage these next few days. 5 with Baltimore and Kansas City, 3 in San Diego. Obviously, no cakewalk for Philadelphia to end the first half. I'm very curious to see how Manaea looks when he comes back. He'll be missing the first 3 months of the season. Manaea, by the end of last year, was the Mets' best starter by margin. Senga, the fact that he's not going to miss more than a little more than a month, which is a pretty good sign for the Mets, because when he went down in that heap on that afternoon game, it looked like, oh no, it happened again. Same sort of injury that happened against Atlanta last year, and that essentially cost him the whole second half after fighting back from that shoulder injury. The trade deadline is going to play a big role in this race, and in essence will play a big role in the National League as a whole, because the Dodgers, will try to make one big splash, whether it is bullpen help or lineup help. Their rotation help is all going to come from guys who are back on their roster, like Glasnow came back today. Snell's going to come back at some point. We expect to see Roki Sasaki again this year. Like, they don't have to trade for any pitchers. They don't need it. They are all on the IL right now, and they're all going to come back at some point this year. Do the Mets improve center field? Because even though Tyrone Taylor's played A+ defense for the Mets, he can't hit. Do the Mets improve the bullpen, which is running thin, even though it's performed well enough? And then the Phillies, look, you mentioned Stott. That is an area you can look at. You can also look at the bat in center field is a question as well.
It's
for
mostly just outfield.
Just outfield bats more than anything. And then you look at the rest of the NL. Cubs, no lineup help needed, but they need pitching help, both starters and bullpen. And then
they do, but I've been watching. The Cubs are so fascinating to me because that lineup, top to bottom, is lethal.
It's
I've been starting to, because you just watch them. They were on national games a little bit, and you start to pay attention a little bit more once they're on TV more and ESPN, all of that. And I mean, it's overwhelming. I remember the game that I went to was a Cubs Phillies game. I went to Citizens Bank Park for it, and just to see some of the numbers and just over and over again, kind of just bashing me over the head of, man, everybody in this lineup is hitting. Everybody, and not just hitting. Some of these guys are hitting very well, some of the best hitters in the National League. So that lineup intrigues me a whole lot. And there wasn't too many points, at this season where I thought, okay, yeah, the Cubs are there with the Dodgers like the Mets and Phillies are. But it's finally kind of just gotten to a point where the lineup is even just getting better, and it's hard to ignore. It is really, really hard to ignore the Cubs.
Well, PCA's on pace for 40-40, would be the first Cub ever to do that. Sosa did 30-30, but not 40-40. Suzuki might have been the biggest all-star snub there was in the National League. He's having an amazing year. But again, I'm just concerned about their pitching. I know Matthew Boyd's been awesome. I know Imanaga's got a lot in him. I just don't trust that bullpen. I don't trust them in the playoff series. The Brewers, who the hell knows what they'll do because there's no money there, but they just keep winning games. And then the NL West teams. The Giants already made their big move with Devers. And then what does San Diego do, who we know has been trying to cut money over the last few years? So it's a fascinating race in the NL. And in the AL side of things, John, I'm just so not intrigued by any of it. It is not intriguing at all to me. The Tigers are clearly the best team for the regular season. Just a matter of pitching behind Skubal. Can Jack Flaherty find it in the postseason? He's been better at home than on the road. But I do have question. Can Reese Olson lock in to be a legitimate number 2 or number 3 in the postseason? Houston, they're not interesting, but they just keep winning games. And the American League East race, I think Toronto's got a real chance to get fat and happy this week because the Yankees have 2 more against the Mariners and then 3 against the Cubs. And the Blue Jays have an easy schedule the rest of the way with 3 in Sacramento against the A's the rest of the first half. Can the Jays push this out to 5.5 or 5 and make this really hard on the Yankees? That's really the only question I have. I don't think Tampa's good enough to make a World Series. I don't think Seattle's good enough. I don't think any of those teams that are in the wild card race other than the Yankees and Blue Jays are going to have. It's so interesting. Maybe it's because of the fandom for both of us, John. I just find that the AL East is the AL East is the only interesting thing in the American League right now. By the way, baseball purist with Soto was a bigger snub than Suzuki. I think they were equally bad snubs on the NL side, especially
I would have liked to see Soto get it.
Especially when Tatis got in with an OPS that was 150 points worse than Soto and 100 points worse than Suzuki. So, yeah, they were both really bad snubs.
Yeah. I think those are the two bigger NL ones. But, yeah, it's the American League East, and really it's just the Yankees because, like, it's top-heavy. You know, when the guys at the top are good, you know, they roll with it, and they're very good. And so when Aaron Judge is hitting like he is, and Aaron Judge, I think, hit one yesterday and they won. But like they're very dependent on like Aaron Judge and their top guys. And starting pitching and just pitching in general is going to be a big problem for them. So I just don't know how the American League kind of falls right now. It seems sort of up in the air with Detroit leading the way, but I think there are still questions about Detroit, as you just said, and it's unproven what Detroit is doing. And if they can do it in the postseason, like it's just setting up to where Houston's just there. Houston knows how to win. They keep winning, and the Astros find themselves in at least maybe an ALCS and back into a World Series. But that's kind of where it falls for me, is that it just seems like kind of the same. For as much as it feels different, because it just feels like Houston gets ignored sometimes just because there's been so much success, and it's hard to repeat that over and over again. And it's just hard, especially the way that they are. They're not as good as the teams were previously, but they're still good, and it just seems like that train's rolling. And if there's any cracks in any of the armor with some of the other teams, they're probably going to just roll through them. So right now, yeah, it just to me seems like the Astros are the team that I would maybe fear the most in the American League just because they've done it. And other than that, like you're just trying to figure out what the hell the Yankees are and if they can ever just really, really put it together again.
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? If the Blue Jays, I'm just going to play this out real quick for you, John. Let's say the Blue Jays hold on and win the AL East. Okay, let's say Toronto wins the AL East. And the Yankees might have to go through a wild card scenario anyway, even if they win the division. Because they're now 5.5 games behind Houston. Like they're falling like into the position where they might have to play a best of 3. But what happens if the Blue Jays win the East and then the Yankees dip to the 4 seed? Then all of a sudden Detroit, instead of having to play Toronto, which I would heavily favor the Tigers in a best of 5 against Toronto, or whatever nonsense team, or Tampa, or Detroit is hammering Tampa this week, or Seattle, a team that really can't hit in their own ballpark. If they got to play the Yankees in a best of 5, that makes it a little more interesting to me. Again, like if you're making me, again, the numbers are long gone on Houston and Detroit and the Yankees for that matter at this point. But if you're making me say, hey, Jeff, who's representing the AL today? I'm picking the Tigers because I think their pitching is the best. But like you said, the Astros still have most of the core other than Bregman. Like that's the only other legitimate argument at the current moment until the Yankees. The Yankees desperately need to trade for a front-end starting pitcher. I know, obviously, things got derailed because Cole missed the whole season, but once you get past Fried, and I know Rodon's had a pretty good season, there's no one in that rotation that I have any trust in. Yeah. No one. They have really got to trade. I don't even know that's the weird thing, this trade deadline.
I wouldn't even trust. I know Luis Gil could potentially become.
I mean, if he'll come back, sure, but we haven't seen him at all this year.
Yeah, seen him at all, and I don't know if I'd really trust, because even at the end of last year, you started to see, all right, like this guy really has a good fastball and was pitching well for a while, but he's very hittable, and some of the underlying stuff did not look good. So I wouldn't trust him coming back and just going, there we go, we got Luis Gil and everything's okay now. I think they need to act as if like they don't know. Like Gil is kind of a wild card for them.
No idea. I would probably. Yeah, this is the problem with the extra playoff teams. Who's truly going to sell at this deadline? And my eyes go to the Atlanta Braves. And if I'm the Yankees, I call up and see. All right, I know Chris Sale's on the IL, even though we'll probably see Sale again soon. What would it take? Because the Braves are going nowhere this year. You can't trade for. You could trade for Alcantara, but Alcantara is a dude with a 7 ERA right now in Miami.
Yeah.
There's no one on the Rockies that's worth a damn. Zach Gallen's been awful in Arizona this year. It was the most logical Arizona trade piece for a rotation. Like, I guess trade for Merrill Kelly. Does that really help you? Like, I don't know.
It's better than nothing. I mean, that's
like,
the kind of
there's
trade
really
I think they
no
would be.
like big name that's going to be moved at the deadline pitching wise this year, John.
No, deadline's going to be. I'm not sure what to make of it yet. Yeah, because I don't know what teams are really going to be selling.
The biggest name that moves pretty easily. It could be Cedric Mullins.
Even some of the teams that could be selling, like I don't think they're willing to let go of like big pieces. Like I don't think the Braves are going to be willing to let go of a ton of big pieces. So I don't know. Like some of the teams that are going to be selling are it's going to be interesting to see what direction they go in. Like there's Arizona you mentioned, but how much do they even sell, and how willing are they to sell? And our asking price is going to be too high for some of the pieces they're selling. It's interesting. I'm kind of fascinated to see once we start hearing get closer the rumors and what teams really start to lock in as these are the teams that are definitely selling. They're willing to let go of players. What that kind of looks like when we get there.
Cleveland's the interesting one, honestly, because they have a few good starters. They've completely fallen out of the race, even though they've taken the first two in Houston after losing 10 in a row where they only scored more than 3 runs once in those 10 games. And then they've hammered Houston 2 days in a row, of course, because baseball is illogical at times, John. But they're the one, like a Tanner Bybee, a Gavin Williams. Do you see if Shane Bieber can possibly?
Would they even want to part with a guy like Gavin? Because young pitcher that they could maybe
but that's
in the next year or two.
Yeah, for Cleveland.
Yeah,
I mean, like you look at Pittsburgh, and Baseball Peers just mentioned this in the chat. Like you look at Mitch Keller, but everything I've seen on the Pirate front is that their asking price is insane for Keller. So the Pirates, I think, are gearing up for next. Well, who knows? Because Bob Nutting is a complete loser of an owner. But you're looking at like a Skeens, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller, 1, 2, 3 is really damn good. Yeah. Like Andrew Heaney maybe is a piece that's movable, but all right, that's a number 4 starter. So it's interesting. And then he brought up Patrick Corbin. I wouldn't give up anything for Corbin, but like the Rangers, like they're not trading Nathan Eovaldi. And DeGrom's got a no trade clause. And I would be stunned if Jacob DeGrom would accept a trade to anywhere. I think Jacob DeGrom is unbelievably happy with living the rest of his days in the heart of Texas with no state income tax the rest of his life.
Yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere. I just don't see any of those guys. So yeah, it's more like, and to compare like a Phillies trade recent, it's like any team that gets somebody, it's going to be like a Michael Lorenzen. Like just somebody you can throw into the back of the rotation.
Like Kansas City trading Michael Wacha.
Yeah, right.
Like Kansas City trading Michael Wacha. Maybe they trade Seth Lugo, like something like that.
Exactly.
Like Lugo could actually be like one of the better pieces that goes at the deadline this year. But
still, it's nothing earth shattering. But a lot of teams just need bullpen help, and
the earth shattering stuff already happened.
Bullpen help to go. Yeah. Oh yeah.
The Devers trade was earth shattering. That might be it for that. All right, John. We move to the official non-sports portion of the show to end things here on a Wednesday. And I got to give credit to one of the best accounts on X or Twitter, whatever the hell we're calling it these days, at Board Geniuses, Message Board Geniuses. As you know, John, one of the best accounts there is to streamline the takes of idiots, to put it politely.
Nice.
And this
Have
one
I shown up on that account yet?
What's up?
Have I shown up on that account? Any of my
do you post on message boards?
No, I don't know. Maybe I
don't give yourself up like that, man. Come on now.
I can't give away my college football burners.
No, not yet.
Come on, you don't just browse like the LSU message boards and not have a little fun with it.
You and Ed Ogeron, man.
Yeah, Eddie O.
Eddie O had a hell of a time at a wedding in Louisiana. I'm sure you saw that a few weeks ago, John.
Oh, did he? Nice.
I did. So this is from VolQuest, which is one of the Tennessee Volunteer message boards on On3. Here's the headline. This deserves its own thread. Always a good start. Always promising.
Important. Urgent.
Ice cream should never, and then it stops there. And the first post is never be eaten in a cone if you're over the age of 12. John, your thoughts?
So, adults do, I think, have to go waffle cone. If you're going to go with a cone, yeah, don't get the little kitty like cone. I guess maybe if it's the only thing they have. But like waffle cone, that's the adult cone. It's the bigger cone. go with the waffle cone. Like, yes, that is an adult thing to do. But I just can't believe as a society we accept that the cone is the rightful method to give a kid. Like a kid that has no balance, no attention span whatsoever. So like they're not focused on the cone. Their mind is in a million places. That thing's melting. When we get ice cream on a cone, guess what we're doing? We know, hey, that thing's gonna melt. I should probably eat that right now and like not get it all over my hands. With a kid, you're giving a kid something like this thing's a ticking time bomb. This kid's got seconds to eat this thing, and they're gonna take like 15 minutes to do it. And we're gonna give that person an ice cream cone? That seems crazy that we've just accepted that as a thing to do.
Wow.
They should have the cups. They should have the bowls. Kids should have the bowls.
I'm stunned that's the route you went.
But it's analytics, Jeff. It makes sense. It makes sense. Why are we doing this? Kids can't pay attention to 5 seconds of a video without scrolling on to the next one. We want to give them an ice cream cone that's going to be melted in like 10 seconds, and they don't know. Like they're just their minds everywhere else. We're like, yeah, that's the kid that should have. Those are the people we should give cones to.
Wow, I'm amazed that was your take. I'm amazed. But, you know what? I
how is it amazed?
Now, granted, we John, we have a huge caveat here that may affect our credibility on what you just said. Okay. Neither of us have kids, so. No. But we do have.
I have nieces and nephews, and it is a nightmare when I have to when I'm with them and they're eating an ice cream cone. I gotta be like, hey, you gotta eat that. It's melting. Here's a napkin for you. Like it's really messy, and we just accepted that. Like, that's how it is. There's no other method of eating ice cream that we could do that would be a little bit less messy, even though we have one. That's a little.
It's funny. So you just said, hey, that take might not be wrong, but you screwed up the age groups. You should have said you wanted him to say that the only time that it's acceptable to have a cone is if you're over the age of 12.
Yes.
That's what you're saying.
If you are an adult that knows what is happening with the ice cream.
On my damn toes, Jon Jansen.
You know what, if you want to make sure the kid has the cone, because that is an important part for a kid of eating ice cream, make sure it's like a bowl. Have a bigger, so it's not melting outside of it.
So you want like the Cold Stone Creamery was the first place to do this on a national scale of the waffle cone bowl. That's Genius. What you want.
Genius.
That's what you want.
For the kids.
Yeah. Look, all I'll say is on my end, the take from the guy on the vol board is nonsense.
Like
nonsense.
The same.
It just means you never had a good waffle cone. That's all that means.
Yeah, that is.
That's all it means. You never had a good waffle cone. And there's got to be, come on. He's the South, man.
But
there's got to be some high butter fat ice cream in Knoxville. That's high-end ice cream that you want in a waffle cone on a hot summer day, or even, you know what? There's no bad time for ice cream. I'll have it when it's 15 degrees outside. I don't care. It's always good. So it just tells me you never ate a good waffle cone. That's the only reason that take could possibly show up.
But we are a society that gives kids sippy cups so they don't spill. Like we don't trust them with the cup to drink normally without spilling it all over themselves. Yet, what we also do is pile up the biggest scoops of ice cream on the smallest vessel possible to hold that damn thing. And we go, man, that kid's going to love it. This is okay. This is a completely appropriate thing to do. That's crazy to me. That
is Jon Jansen. I did not expect it to go this way, but it's a good take. It's a reasonable take. It is a well-reasoned take, which is all we can ask for on this show, right?
That's what we are.
Well-reasoned sports talk here on PBNJ. Well-reasoned. Or well-seasoned as well.
I don't know about you. But.
Not a lot of seasoning in peanut butter and jelly, John.
No,
so, there you go. All right. Well, that's what we got for you here today. This is going to be our routine slot, 5:00 Eastern time on Wednesdays. So you're watching us on the East Coast. You got someone to listen to on your way home on Wednesdays now. Get your commute down Jersey Turnpike, LIE, Pennsylvania Turnpike, I-95 in Delaware, and stop at the one rest stop that's there if you're Jon Jansen. You can do that as well. But yeah, that's we're here. The Grid, as always, of course. Make sure you're watching us on YouTube, subscribing there, following on Twitter, where most of you are watching here today at Grid Network. It's The Grid, Y instead of I, on YouTube as well. So check us out there. All the great shows from from All Even with Barry Grant, Bryson Carver as well, our guy Mike Guido, the whole team bringing you content over at The Grid. JJ, we'll see you again next Wednesday.
I'll see you next Wednesday, Parles.
See you next Wednesday. I'm Jeff Parles. He's Jon Jansen. This has been PBNJ with The Grid.